Alright guys, here we are with the Scarecrow. Here it is put together. And I'm going to be tearing it apart. Why? Because I'm going to be putting it on a rotisserie. I'm going to finish the floor from the inside and the outside. I'm going to put like a Raptor liner, bed liner material underneath. I'm going to clean it all up, epoxy it, seam seal a whole bunch of stuff underneath there that needs to get taken care of. From doing the transmission tunnel, since I redid that and widened that. I'm going to seam seal all the seals from everything, welding, and make that look nice. From doing the tubs, so I did put mini tubs in the car. So from doing the tubs, what I did on this was I used the original tubs. I basically cut it out, took out the tub, the inner tub, and then welded a 3 to 4 inch piece down the center, and then re-welded it back in there. And I'm gonna address that a lot nicer. I'm gonna seam seal all this, weatherproof it basically, so that it looks really nice from the outside and the inside. And the same thing here. I seam seal it. I use the existing tub, and I'm gonna have to seam seal that side too. So I already got epoxy on the inside of the wheel well because I knew I was going to be driving it this summer, or this past summer. So I basically gonna have to tear the whole car apart. The front clip is going to be coming off. I'm going to try to keep it together as much as possible. So I'm going to, it unbolts. It just bolts right here. This kit, or actually on these Chevy 2s, they just unbolt right here, and there's 4 bolts on this side, 4 bolts on that side, and the whole clip will come right off. So I'm gonna have to do the electrical, fuel lines, transmission lines, brake lines, battery, exhaust, just disconnect it, and I'm gonna just try to leave everything together. So the turbo is attached to the motor. Hopefully I can leave the core support in. Hopefully, maybe, I was thinking about this, I might be able to leave the fenders on. And then just unbolt the fenders, unbolt as much, unbolt the other side, and then just try to leave it all together, leave the transmission attached, undo the drive shaft and everything else, of course, and then just slide the whole thing and just stuff it in the corner for now. Then I don't gotta take the antifreeze out. Which isn't a big deal, but if I have to, I have to. But if I gotta take the fenders off, then I gotta take the grill out, then I gotta take the bumpers off, then I gotta take the inner shields out, and yeah, that's probably, it might be what I have to do. I don't know yet. Off the top of my head, yeah, I built it in pieces, but I don't know, I didn't know, I didn't think about if I could take it apart as one unit. So we're gonna try. Then I have to deal with the intercooler piping, and not that it wouldn't be a big deal, because then I could redo this core support, but I can do that another time. It's just a core support. I might make a new one someday and make it really nice, because I jammed everything in there, because everything's tight on this car. Like everything's tight. It was a pain to do everything on this car to add the turbo, but I made it work. And so that's where I'm at with the car right now. I'm gonna have to get the fuel lines out of there, get the fuel out of there. I don't think there's much fuel in there anyways. Take the torque arm suspension off, take all those suspension, everything bolts on underneath anyways, so it shouldn't be too bad. There's only one bar. There's a bar that I welded from the left side to the right side of the car that stays on the car, obviously. But I epoxied, I brushed epoxy on all the bare metal. I cleaned up these wheel tubs before we drove it, because I knew that I was going to be driving it. And the reason why I did that, the reason why I wanted to drive it, is I wanted to get all the kinks worked out in the car, which I really didn't have any problems besides going through one motor, which wasn't really the motor's fault. It was kind of my buddy's fault. But no, it was kind of my fault. I learned the hard way that I should have put 7 quarts of oil in there. People with the LS motors, they tend to overfill them when you get to a higher horsepower on these, so that the oil slosh goes to the back of the pan. It sucks the oil pan dry, and then I spun all the rods in this one, the rod bearings in this one. The cam was fine, and so I haven't tore this one apart. What I did is I bought a whole van from a friend of mine, and then this motor actually has 180,000 miles on it, and I swapped heads, cam, lifters, took it all apart and cleaned it. There was bearing material throughout that whole motor, and I took every single lifter apart. I think it had like 3 or 4 hours into cleaning every part of that lifter. There's like, I don't know, there's like 8 pieces inside of that lifter. I took every single one of them apart. I cleaned it all, and so there was nothing wrong with the cam. So that's why I'm thinking it's a low oil pressure that happened on that motor when my buddy was yelling at me to go faster, and whatever. So that was done with. I did that in like 6 days. Took that motor out of a work van, like a Chev Express 2500. I took that motor out of a Chevy 2500. I took this motor out of the Nova that was on the engine, that was on the dyno, and it took 6 days. Literally pulled the van in, and on the 6th day, that motor that was in that van was in here, and I was driving around to get to the racetrack to race some work friends. So anyways, so the reason why I built the whole car and not really like cleaned up everything was, well, for one, it's in really good shape. I mean, the car, I don't plan on doing anything with the outside of the car right now. It's in such nice shape right now that there's really not that much rust. Yeah, there's some scaling on the rocker, but there were rocker moldings that, like aluminum side moldings that went on there. And I think just the surface rust came underneath there a little bit, and it just started. I mean, this car is so incredibly solid. I think I have if and whenever I do the outside of the car, there's like 3 patches I'm going to have to do, and I don't even consider this part of, the rust from it being so old. It looks like something hit here, created a hole, and it started to rust. But like, there's only a small patch here, and there's like a small patch, I think, in this door. So, I mean, and that's it. I mean, the car is so solid, and it sounds so nice too. I mean, so built the whole car, drove it for a summer, worked all the kinks out of it, which I really didn't have any problems. I mean, got lucky. So now I can tear it all apart and weld up any holes that I don't need, put holes in that I should maybe add a couple fuel line braces, or like brackets for the fuel lines or stuff like that, and get that all squared away, and put some type of material on the underside. I don't want to paint the underside just because, man, I've done some restos in the past, and I've done them multiple ways, where I've painted them, where I've Raptor liner them, put a bed liner material on it, and once you paint the underside of a car, it just, I don't know, me, I would want to keep it clean, and then just from driving it around, it's going to get dirty, and then it's just full of just dirt, and it just looks like, I don't know, I know it's the underside, but, so I don't want to paint it, because it's just, you're just going to want to keep it clean all the time. So once I get that done, I'm going to work on the interior. We're going to redo the whole interior. These seats are out of a Mini Cooper. These were like a 2010. This part isn't so great. It's just a reflection that's shining from my flashlight here, so you can see. But I'm gonna get carpet. I'm gonna get a headliner. Get new door panels. We're gonna have to paint these doors black, most likely. Get a new dash pad or fix that one. There's some crack. There's a crack right there where they usually crack. What else? I'm gonna have to make a center console because I widened that tunnel, so nothing's gonna fit on there. I know a lot of guys use a center console out of like a second gen Neon or a first gen Neon. I think it's a second gen, like a 2000 to 2005 Neon. I guess they fit really nice, but I don't want that look. It's plastic, and I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do yet, but I got to incorporate that shifter in there, and I got my two-step just kind of I just kind of got it ran just for the track. I was doing some testing, and I just needed it wired up so I could do some testing, and I don't know, maybe add a trans brake button yet. I don't know if I go with trans brake. But I got a rear seat finally. It took almost, I've owned the car now for 3 years, a little over 3 years. It took 3 years to find an affordable rear seat. Now, this rear seat is not usable, but I just have a blanket over it. I wasn't using the rear seat for anything, but I had none back there. So I had, when I bought the car, I had the rear back, but I never had a bottom. I guess the one owner of this car back in like 2000, he threw the seat away, the spring and all, because it was, I don't know what was wrong with it. That's what I heard. So now I was searching and searching and searching, and you can find them, but you're going to pay $1,000 for these rear seats, and those are in pretty decent condition. I mean, I've seen them for $600, $700, and they're still in okay, usable condition, but it's like, it's just so hard to drop that much money on a rear seat. So eventually I found a guy on my Nova site that I'm on, a Nova forum, and I got a rear seat and a back. So now I have 1.5 total seats. So and on top of it, these are really rare. The reason why they're so expensive is because they're really rare. They're really rare because you have to use a seat out of a 66 or a 67, which this is a 66. But they kind of are year specific for a 66 because they have different mounting brackets for a 67. Well, you can make the mounting brackets work. They're just mounting brackets. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to have to just... this seat, the rear bottom is out of a 67, but the curvature and everything is correct. So I'll just have to just make a bracket. No big deal. People do it all the time. But so yeah, so get interior panels on all this. Make it a nice streetcar headliner. I'm gonna have to get a package tray right here. I don't know, wrap that. I don't know. I haven't really done many interiors on a car, and I'm not gonna get too fancy with this. It's just I want it to be a nice driver, and you just look in it and it's done. Not fancy stitching or I'm just gonna get replacement panels on there. Just something that pops in and we can drive it. I got kids, so they're gonna be crawling around in here, but I don't want to have them never to ride in here because I'm afraid that they're gonna tear something or get something dirty. So yeah, so that's where the car is right now. We got it back here at the garage at the shop, and I'm gonna have to start tearing her in if I want to get this done before spring. So I'm hoping move this project along pretty quick. So get it tore apart, get it going. So other than that, I think covered everything that I wanted to cover for now. So all right, well, we'll talk to you later. Thank you.